Ho, ho, ho. Welcome to Financial Revelations. I'm David Zafransky, your host. Fresh back from the Amazon River in Brazil. And boy, was it hot. I mean, it was so hot there up until it rained on us in the boat, in the speedboat. And then it went from like 100 to 70 degrees and we were freezing while being punched in the face with bird-sized raindrops. So anyway, I'm back as of Monday night. You can always read my stuff on Twitter. I have a poll out there right now at SkiBucks1. You can call us. You can email us. You can listen to me on WCRF or on the Moody Radio App. All of this is running beneath me. If you want to email a question in, which I love when people do, Corey@EPSF.com. One of the things I did in the Amazon is I went to see, we scouted out the next village that we're going to drill a well at in June. And it is so deep in the jungle. I think I'm going to post it on nativosusa.org if you want to see it. You can also go to Nativos and contribute to the trip or to a GoFundMe. You can find that on GoFundMe. Just type in my last name. It's easy to spell. Any amount helps. It's great if you guys can help. And if not, keep us in prayer. That's help. We need that too because we have a lot going on. Well, there's a lot of news today that I want to go over, and it really surrounds the Fed chairman. You know him by his name, Chair Powell. Chair Powell, they had a meeting yesterday and Tuesday. It ends on, it's always Tuesday. Wednesday, they come out with the rate decision at 1 o'clock. He comes out at the press conference at 2 o'clock. And I hate surprises. I hate surprises. In my business and in my professional life, surprises generally stink. And this was a Christmas surprise, and it stinks. So what I want to talk about today is what was before 1 o'clock yesterday or 2 o'clock, and what is after 2 o'clock, the chairman's press conference yesterday. And in fact, as I listened to, I was driving to the radio station this morning and I was listening to financial news, and some of the reporters that report on the Fed were talking about how they went into the meeting with certain questions that because they were sure what Chair Powell was going to say, and he surprised us and they had to change their questions. Their questions were no longer relevant. So when we, you watch somebody on TV and they're like, oh no, I wasn't surprised. They were surprised. Everybody was surprised. And what was before? Well, before it was, we have one or two more rate hikes. We're going to stay higher for longer. We're not there yet. We need to keep up the inflation fight. Inflation really hurts people. It makes life more expensive for the least able to afford it. And I want you to think about this for a second. So remember before all this inflation started, it started not long after President Biden took office, and they were spending money like drunken sailors. They still are spending money like drunken sailors. The difference is now that the Republicans, have the House, so they have a little bit more control and they're going to impeach the president. But prices were pretty stable. And then we did all these Build Back Better junk things. Nothing's been built back. Nothing's better. It's a lie. We did the Inflation Reduction Act, which caused more inflation. So we're at like 9% year-over-year inflation. Okay, that's what happened. And so think about if you're living on a lower income or a fixed income that hasn't changed that much, but costs are up 17, 18, 19, 22%. How hard is it for those people living at that level to live today? They haven't made any more money, but everything's costing up to 22, 23% more. Well, they're putting stuff back on the grocery shelf. Their cart is emptier. They can't eat as much. They can't keep their house as warm. They can't drive as far. These things are real. They really hurt people. Inflation hurts people at the lower end of the socioeconomic scale the worst. I haven't changed anything about what I do because I can afford to do it. But I realize that not everybody is like that. And that's why it is so important for price stability. That is the Fed's number one job. They have two jobs: price stability, full employment. That's it. That's all they do. They have so utterly failed at price stability. It's mind-boggling how much they failed. So that's what was before the press conference yesterday. So, we're getting data out this week and over the last couple of weeks, and the data does look better than what it did when inflation was at 9% year over year, but it's still 4% year over year. And in fact, if we had this data 3 years ago, we would still be raising rates. But because we're putting it up against what was 9% higher, now it's only 4% higher. That does not mean inflation's lower. It just means it's growing at a slower pace. But we still have out of control inflation. And we're seeing it seep into the places where it doesn't disappear from, like the wage market. Now, it's not that I don't want people to make more money. I do. I want all of you to make more money, and I want you to all give it to me to manage so I can make you more money. You see how this works? But the key is, in making more money, there has to be productivity to match it. So you don't just get paid more making the same amount of stuff. No, your economy is expanding. You're making more stuff so people get paid more. That is not inflationary. We saw that during the Trump years where wages were skyrocketing, but so was productivity. And because of that, there was no inflation. In fact, when Trump was president, the Fed was worried that we weren't creating enough inflation. How stupid is that? My gosh, what am I up against here? I just can't believe it sometimes. If I were in charge for a day, just one day is all I need. So Trump is president, productivity is expanding, so every worker is making more and more and more. So yes, they should get paid more. Their wages should increase. And when you do it that way, it's economically acceptable. When wages are just going up, but productivity is falling, like under the Biden administration, you get inflation. Jimmy Carter's Fed chairman, he did pretty much what Chair Powell just did. He stopped, did a victory lap, and inflation came back and they had to restart rate hikes, and it came back even worse. And then they stopped again. And then inflation came back, and it came back even further. And then Paul Volcker came in under Ronald Reagan and moved rates to 15%. I don't know that we're going to go there, but that's what was before yesterday's 2 o'clock press conference. What is now? What is now? Well, we're stopping the rate hikes. And I think it's premature. I think it's 2 rate hikes premature. And then they talked about cuts next year. Now, I thought there would be cuts next year, but towards the end of the year, probably after the presidential election. So you're really looking at November, December for rate cuts next year. Now they're talking about March. So why make this change now? What could possibly be the reason? You don't cut rates for no reason. For instance, if rates were higher like they are right now, and the economy's still doing good, so the employment market's still pretty strong. Unemployment has not gone up. It's not even 4% yet. It's sub 4%. The stock market hit all-time highs yesterday. If the economy is as good as they say it is, if it is as good as they say it is, why would we need a rate hike or rate cut? Something has to precipitate a rate cut. Do they see something that we're not seeing, a massive slowdown, a recession? Because if we don't get a massive slowdown or a recession, there's only one other reason why they're doing this. And I used to think, well, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I think I am now, because it started with the Russian hoax, conspiracy, COVID, conspiracy, vaccine mandates, conspiracy, stopping social media free speech, conspiracy. We talked about this. They said, oh, we're not doing that, and they are doing that. If Elon Musk had not bought Twitter, we'd never know any of this. We owe Elon Musk a debt of gratitude that we're never going to be able to repay. And because of the truth spoken on Twitter, they're coming after Elon Musk now also. We owe it to America to defend Elon Musk. Go on Twitter, pay the $8, pay a fee, keep him in business. We need Twitter because without him, without Twitter, without Elon Musk, we're never going to know the truth about this stuff. So if we don't see something like a massive slowdown, if we don't see a recession, the only other plausible thing is they're trying to interfere with the election and keep Donald Trump out of the presidency by making Joe Biden look good. Now, I don't know that that's the case. But if there isn't a massive slowdown, because why does the Fed cut rates? They don't just cut rates to cut rates. They cut rates because there's been or there is happening an economic event. In fact, in between the last rate hike and the first rate cut, there's usually a drawdown in the market of 16 to 19%. That means we're going to be potentially, if the Fed is seeing something that we're not, potentially 19% lower by the first rate cut. Is that what they're seeing? Because they kind of did a victory lap yesterday, and I don't think it's time for a victory lap. We still have 4% inflation. One of the things that was reported yesterday, if you take out food, energy, and housing, inflation's really tame. Unfortunately, we all need food, energy, and housing. You don't really live without those three things, unless you live in California because you're sleeping on the street and you're begging for food because their economy is so bad. But if the economy is as good as the Biden administration would like you to believe, why don't we just leave rates alone, leave them where they're at? Oh, I don't know. It used to be that the Jimmy Carter administration held the moniker, the championship belt, for the stupidest administration ever. The Biden administration has easily eclipsed that. They are now the undisputed idiots of all time. And I don't see that changing in my lifetime, unless Joe Biden gets reelected, and then he'll probably win it again. So the reasons for these rate hikes, or these rate cuts that they're talking about, the reasons for the rate cuts has to be because they see some kind of data that we don't like. And we just don't know it yet. Now, the Fed, they do create a survey of private businesses that they don't share with anybody. So it is plausible and possible that is happening, and we just haven't seen it yet. The economy is slowing down. There's very little doubt about that, and some people believe that we're in a manufacturing recession right now. But people are still spending money. Now, we're going to get a lot of data. I know it's weird that you can change the year. So you flip the calendar and the markets change. But it is possible, and it has happened in the last 10 years where, okay, it's January. Whoa, this is going to happen now. And one of the things that I could see happen in January is, because we've had a good year, and there is a possibility of a recession and a pretty big slowdown followed by rate cuts, I could see some tax loss selling in 2024 that could rock the markets lower. And I think that is going to happen early in January. So I have a lot of people calling me right now because we have a lot of money in bonds and in high yield money markets, and they got to put the money in right now. Well, whenever I get like 20 phone calls where people say, I want to get more aggressive, I think, okay, the market's close to hitting a bottom. We're going to see a dive. And I do think that's going to happen in January. So if you've called me and I haven't put your money to work yet, that's probably why. I'm not ignoring you or your money. I love you guys. I look at your accounts every day, and I want to put it to work because we all do better when you make more money. We all do worse when you don't, when things go down. So I don't like to time the markets, but it's okay to wait for a better time to enter the markets. And when the markets go down and you own something that's going down with it, I don't feel the need to sell it. I feel the need to buy more of it if I can. That's the way it works. We're like the firemen that run towards burning building when everybody else is running away, except this is the market and it's way less dangerous. But we want to run towards the fire, in a manner of speaking. I'm not saying that, I'm not comparing myself to firemen or anything like that, but in the way of speaking, that we're running towards the problem, because that's when you want to buy, when the investment blood is in the streets. So that's what I think is coming. I think there is a slowdown coming, or they're interfering with the election. And the thing is that you cannot underestimate what they're willing to do to Donald Trump to keep him out of the White House. You know, before he was president, he had never been indicted before. After he was president, he got indicted 91 times. How is that possible? How does anybody get indicted 91 times? Now, a lot of them are political cases, and we know that, and there's January 6th stuff, and January 6th was a setup. If you don't believe that, or you don't know that, I don't know. It was a setup. They could have had federal troops there. You know, they put people in jail for 20 years. There's been people sitting in jail since January 6th with no trial. That is un-American. What's happened to Donald Trump, whether you like him or not, what's happening to Donald Trump is un-American. And it shows me how far people in power are willing to go to hold on to power, because he represents something to them that they are terrified of. He represents somebody who doesn't need the money. He's not in it for the money. And because of that, he can govern for the benefit of America. He gave his salary away for 4 years of his presidency. He didn't need the money. Well, how do you go to Congress and make let's say you make $200,000 a year for 10 years. You still got to live on it, but your net worth goes from $1 million to $60 million. How does that happen on $200,000 a year? I'm interested to know. That's what's going on. You know, my last message to you guys, I know we're political today, but money is political, and the markets are political, and we're in a political season. We're about to go through a presidential election. The next time I talk to you, we'll be in a presidential election year. We're not going to do another one of these until the new year. In the meantime, I want you to take time out and step away from politics. Step away from the money and step into family and friends and church and giving and helping people and reaching out and reaching down. You know I talk a lot about the mission trips that we do, but there's hundreds and thousands of things that you could support. And I think a lot about this time of year about soldiers. I was in the Army for 10 years. I know a lot of soldiers that are still in. I have friends that have retired from the service. If there's a military family nearby or that you know of, maybe you reach out to them if their loved ones are deployed right now. You know, it's lonely being separated from your family. So I want to be thinking of other people during the holidays, not just, I want to step away from all that other junk. And in the end, you know, I know money's important. It's what we do for a living. We all live on it. We need it. We retire. We think about it. We watch our balances. We log into accounts, but it's all going to burn. You're not going to take it with you. The relationships that we build here are way more important than the balance in your account. I know sometimes it's hard for us to believe that, or we get so caught up in things. But your kids, your spouse, your family, it's way more important. Spend time with them. Get in the weeds with them instead of your bank accounts, and support something greater than yourselves. I want to support something greater than me. That's easy to do because I'm not that great. And look to other things. Go to church. Take somebody to church. Pick somebody up for church. Support a local church. Support your pastor. Support a mission. Look for kids that are suffering. Help the widows and the orphans. We have a biblical call to help people that are, to help the weak. And I think of widows and orphans, and we have a widow's policy here that we help people when we can. If it's within our power, I want to help them. And that's the message I really want to send out for Christmas. Help people that are less fortunate than you. It's not hard to find. So we love you guys. We want to see you in the new year. We want you to be happy and prosperous and help other people be happy and prosperous also. And being prosperous is not generally about money. So money's not going to make you happy. It will buy you a lot of things. But in the end, it's, if all you had was your money on your deathbed, you have missed the mark. So I am David Safransky, a real American, a true red-blooded patriot who has fought for this country, and the voice you can trust. Merry Christmas.